the galvanized steel right there, about 10 yards away. Hey, welcome to Rusty Bow. Today, I'm going to take a piece of box blade and make an arrowhead. Box blades usually run about 16, 18, sometimes 20 inches long. They're a nice big slab of steel, and this is probably circa 1980s, 1970s, 1980s. But if you see these at a scrap heap and nobody wants them, grab them. Good source for making blades and things like that. Anything you need high carbon steel for. So, well, as I said, I'm going to make an arrowhead and I'm going to test it. So, stay tuned. Okay, as I suspected, this is good high carbon steel, but the reason I know that is because I actually found out what this is called. I finally got around to it, and it's called a box blade. And the ones that I have to work with are probably from like the 1970s, 1980s. But these are good high carbon steel, and this piece here was cut off probably like another piece that this used to be part of. I brought this one out because there's more detail, and if somebody ever has to identify a box blade, this is like the end of it, so it's a good piece for identification. But I'm going to go ahead and turn this one into an arrowhead. I did that a couple weeks ago, I believe, but I need more arrowheads, and this is a good project for it. I just want to say something really quick too, because I never really talked too much about this part of the fire, but I use good lump charcoal. Okay, a lot of people, you can get it at hardware stores these days. A lot of people use it for barbecuing, but it's great for blacksmithing. It's a lot cleaner than people, and which I used to use back in the day. But it's give you a good hot fire and everything. But what you want to be careful of is when you first put it in, if you got the blower going and all that, it flakes off. It'll pop. So you always want to have your sunglasses on, even when you're just putting the stuff in there. Because like I said, it'll just explode. Little pieces will just pop off, and they burn, and they just get into places you wouldn't think they'd get into. So always want to have good safety goggles on when you do that. So I'm going to normalize this piece before I work on it. As always, normalize before you work on something that's been hardened, and then before you go to harden it again, normalize it after you've worked it, just to relieve stresses. It's better all around. And I just want to start upsetting the point on this, the edge point from the old blade, because we're really not looking to turn that into a blade for the arrowhead. Actually, I don't know, it's like I said last time, maybe I'll turn that into a tang, but I think what's going to happen is I'm just going to figure out what works best, and when I get this done, and it won't really matter at that point, because I think the whole thing's hard, but I want to start from scratch, not from the point. Probably figure out I'm gonna do another long arrowhead.
I think we are ready to rock and roll on the sander. Yeah, I started to do a little dress up on the edge, and I realized I probably should put this in the video before I work it on the sander. So this is the Arrowhead as it stands out of the blacksmith, except for just a little bit of dress up on the edges, hardly anything. But I'm going to run this on the sander and gussy it up, and hopefully it'll turn out nice. Okay, I milled it on the sander, and looking fairly decent, I think. I'm going to, I took files to put the little notches in. So yeah, I'm going to normalize this, and then I'm going to clay this up and probably do a water quench. Okay, the first quench I did, it had a slight warp to it, and I really didn't want that in an Arrowhead. So it's a little long. You know, I took a chance with the water, and there's just a slight warp potential going forward since it's already warped once. So, and it wasn't much of a warp, but it's something you don't want at all, and I don't want it in a long Arrowhead. So, I'm going to do an oil quench. I'm going to clay it up again and do an oil quench. This one's going to go into an oil quench because I figure whatever caused it to warp slightly, it could have been me dropping it in the water, I don't know, but it also could just be something in the steel as it was being forged, and after it was milled and everything, and I'm like, just don't want to go through this again, so the Hammond won't be as intense, but that's okay. Maybe the blade will be a little tougher for the oil quench. Okay, clay is dry, and I'm going to put it in for the quench. This oil was cold. Okay, so you can see there is a Hammond, and it's not, as I said before, it's not as stark as like what would be from a water quench, because the first quench, it was really there, really strong, but the oil quench doesn't tend to have as stark a Hammond, what people know as a temper line, but it may possibly be because the oil was cold. It's been sitting out in a container out in the snow for quite a while, and although we've had a few days, pretty much all this week, it's gotten above freezing, but it was, it was still cold, and I had to stir something hot in it just to kind of liquid it up. So, but I'll get this cleaned up, and oh yeah, one other thing. I want to quickly run the file over it. Nothing. It's just, that's good. It's not biting. That's very good. Now the question remains as to how tough it is, because it's going to go on a stick and get shot eventually with the others down. Okay, I put it on the wear wheel, And you can definitely see that humming now. Everything's cleaned up. So, yeah. So we'll be putting that on a stick and shooting that before long. Okay, a quick rundown of the arrow that I made. My fletchings on an oak dowel, 3/8 inch oak dowel, and the arrowhead is about, I think it's like 4.5 inch blade. The tang, I cut down the tang a little bit, but the tang's probably 1.5 inches, I think, something like that. And it's got a hammond on it. This was originally water quenched, but I had a slight warp, so I normalized it and reclayed it and requenched it in oil, and actually came up pretty decent. So the hammond is pretty decent. So, all right, going to test it down there. Okay, I'm going to do a 10-yard test of this arrow, just because I really want to avoid hitting posts and things like that tend to be point breakers. But the galvanized steel right there, about 10 yards away, and got a couple other arrows here I was looking to test. No, bounced off the top. And then the long one I made last week. Okay, that blade's good. That blade's good. And when it skimmed off the top, hopefully it didn't stick in any boards here. Nope. That's good. So these are all good. All right, they passed the galvanized steel puncturing test. The real test for these, though, and I don't do it on purpose, is when they hit a 4x4 post or a pallet stringer, nail, rock, something like that, because those are the kinds, I mean, rocks are obvious, but they can break points. But what can bust points sometimes is embedding in a board like a 4x4 or something, and then there's so much momentum, and if it hits at an angle, it can snap the blade. A lot of times they'll just embed. You know, I've had them embed several times, cross grain, all that, it's fine. But sometimes it's just bad news for a blade, you know. But so far, these are in good shape. All right, more arrows for the quiver of doom. All set, ready to rock. So, all right, hope you had a good week. See you on the other side of this one. You stay well. Be good.